Medford, you can't make no noise. I'm live.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Build Your Best Life. I'm Coach Deborah, and I'm excited to have you here because you could have been anywhere else, but you decided to join us here on Blueprint for Success. And I have a very special guest today with us. Ashley, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. So happy that you could be on with us today.
Thank you.
And everybody, thank you all for your prayers. Thank you for sharing, commenting, and liking. Please continue to share, and comment as we go along. Make sure that if you have liked my Facebook page, that you like my Blueprint for Success Facebook page. I noticed the other day, my husband was saying different people were on, and I could not see your comments because you had not liked my Blueprint for Success page. So please like it because I want to see all those comments, and well, subscribe to my YouTube page. But again, we are happy to have you here today. And Ashley's been on before, but we want her to tell us all about herself and what she loves to do.
Yes, hello everyone. Again, my name is Ashley Medford. I'm on here because I was adopted, and I feel in my spirit now is the time that I reach out and tell people about my story, about how I was adopted, and how I am now becoming an advocate for adoptees or parents that have adopted children, either or, wherever they are in their process. Just here to be an advocate and let them know what resources are out there and that we are also out there for them as well. And then also, with the children's books that I write that are dedicated to adoptive boys, just being an advocate for them as well, helping them through whatever processes they may have started or currently in or going through as well. But just being open and transparent about what I've been through and where I'm going. It's what I've been up to.
Oh, awesome stuff, awesome stuff. Well, we are going to get started, and today our topic is perception. Perception. Perception is a process of organizing and interpreting the sensory information. So, perception helps individuals to understand situations better. So, it's like what you see, what you hear, what you can feel, what you touch, smell. Those things travel to your brain and is translated into what you perceive it to be. So, we're going to get to know Ashley a little bit better and uh, get deeper into why she loves what she loves to do. So, Ashley, how does the brain work when it comes to one's perception?
Now, take it from me, I'm not a doctor, but I have taken some seminars at UTD. I was going to study for neuroscience. So, the times that I worked there, this is information that I've gathered along with my own personal experience. But as far as when it comes to the brain and perception, it's different in different levels. So, obviously, a child is going to be different from a teenager. A teenager is going to be different from a young adult, and a young adult is going to be different from an elderly person. They all still have their own sense of perception, but as the brain is trying to perceive different things, you just have to put into perception what is going on from situation to situation. So obviously, for example, you're not going to let a toddler drive a car, you know, but you're also not going to have a 99-year-old building a house out in our construction building.
Mhm.
There's different perceptions in different times. So as your brain is going through different development stages, and we know that there's many people that have done different developments, there's a balance between the natural and the spiritual side. So when you have a natural side, and and we're talking about adoption, when you have a child that has been adopted, they're going to go through normal stages of development with their perception until they come into the knowing that they are adopted. And take it from someone like me. When I heard this, probably about at the age of 10, it's a shell shock. So it's almost like my brain stopped perceiving, like, this is my mom, this is my dad. Like, what do you mean? I didn't even know where babies come from at the time. So to know that I did know where babies come from, and these aren't my parents. It's a whole lot of answers. And even though my parents were giving me information, I could not perceive what it was. And so, it put me in a very dark place for a very long time, because now I have identity issues. Now I have abandonment issues, things that I didn't even know that were brewing in me, because my perception was clouded because of the information that was given to me. And now my brain can't articulate it. All my brain was articulating at my age was, this is not my mom and dad. And so once my development got to a teenager, an adolescent comes in with that. Now I have a more understanding of, where babies come from. This is not mom and dad. Now I understand what adoption is. But now the hurt and pain comes in, because now it's like, well, who is mom and dad? And where did they go? And why can't I talk about them? And in my household, it wasn't okay to talk about the adoption process. So why is that not open? Can we not talk about this? And now hurt and pain turns into holes in your heart. And now you talk about, Children can walk into PTSD, they can walk into depression, they can walk into, development stages going backwards. And now that child, because their perception doesn't understand what it is that I need to do with the things that are happening to my body as I'm physically changing and I'm mentally changing. Now I'm just kind of like, um, um, a little kid, just brain just all over the place, and you're trying to tell them to sit down and be quiet, because you don't understand what's going on and they don't understand. Well, I am a little bit older, but the perception in my brain and everything is moving so rapidly as a teenager. I wasn't going to get it anytime soon. So as I move into adulthood, where I am now, I spiritually just took a hold of my life. you know I joined Oak Cliff Bible Fellow Ministry. I got into counseling, I got into therapy, because I didn't want to have what I didn't deal with transfer into my children.
Mhm.
So I didn't want, whoever they get married to come back and be like, honey, I'm giving this person back to you because you didn't raise these boys or girls good. I'm like, no, we're getting all of the skeletons out the closet. None of my kids are adopted, but I do plan on, being a foster parent as I get older. There's different things that we're putting in place now. Um, but I did want to make sure that the long run of the things that I went through, perception wise, and brain development wise, that I'm able to look back at my kids and hold their hands as they're going through those different identity crises and different ways of perception, that I can now, with a sense of understanding, perceive, okay, this is what you can understand right now.
Mhm.
This is what you can hear right now, because just because my mouth is moving doesn't mean you're hearing anything that I'm saying.
That's right.
you
That-
know
right.
um and so that's why I brought in therapy and counseling with my kids as well, because sometimes it's just the perception and delivery of how a person is taught. Like my middle child, he's my child that tested me, and like I told him, baby, school is not for everyone. So let's find a program. We put him in a GD program. It was a work study program that he was able to go to school and work, that worked for him. So being able to see those different development stages is how I look at the brain and development.
Oh, all that is great, great, great information. Because you're right. A lot of times, like you were saying, that wasn't a topic that was up for discussion. A lot of times, children, they may feel a certain way, and they can hear people and comments, because people don't care what they say out of their mouth, but you hear comments and you're like, well, that doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
So it gets you wondering, but you don't really know what's going on. So it kind of like makes you maybe act out or feel a certain type way, because you can't ask those questions. You don't really know what's going on. So that is really, really helpful to me, because I was adopted. Well, I say I was adopted or given away or whatever, but it wasn't a lot that people talked about. I got a lot of stuff from overhearing people talking.
Yes.
So that's good. So if you've just joined us, we are talking about perception. And as people go through different things based on their perception, how they take that information in based on their senses. And so thank you all for tuning in. I see Yvonne here, Jocelyn, Curly, Agnes. Thank you all for tuning in.
Thank you.
So children go through those various stages of development, as you stated, during that adoption process. Um, so then you have to think about how does that compare to their parents as they visualize their children going through adolescence? So you got two different dynamics kind of going on. So what are the different development stages one might go through as they go through the adoption process, if that makes sense?
For the parent side.
Either.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll start with the parent side. So, um, if it's been a person like me and you're deciding to be a foster parent, it's a completely different brain development, because I'm praying that they're in a healed place, right? They're not in a hurt place, adopting children. So let's just say they're in a healed place, Jesus. So if they're in a healed place, so their brain development is going to be in different stages of preparation, gathering a team that would be able to accommodate that child or children, how many they plan on doing. It would be a place of love that they would be setting up, a place of development, and then a place of healing, because the healing has to come first. When those children come into the home, you don't know what frame of mind they're going to be in. You don't know what stage of development is going to be in. So as they come into that home, they would have sat down with, maybe speech therapists, if that's something, physical, counselors or therapists, depending on what that child has dealt with in the past from their, paperwork or whatnot. And then having that conversation when you're finally in the home, after you went through the court process and they're finally in the home, and a mother or father, maybe there's other children, they might be the only child, you don't know the situation, and it's a first time, nobody else is here. It's a beautiful moment, but at the same time it's scary.
Mhm.
So, making sure that that child is not just driven on what you want for them, but, sitting them down with that first stage of development. Let's talk about just getting to know each other, that meet and greet. I know it's going to take some time. Let me just kind of tell you who I am, and, let me show you how the house is. So, getting through kind of like that first breakthrough, break the ice stage,
Mhm.
and then after that, them meeting with the team of whomever they're going to work with, the school they're going to go to. That really matters, because if that child has any type of um, issues from previous altercations or anything, and you put them in a school district that has a lot of peer pressure and stuff like that, that's not going to be good for the development of the parents or for the development of the child either. And then the school district is going to have their team of people that that child may work with, or it could be someone like me. I didn't have any issues going to school. I got in trouble for finishing my work too soon, so I was bored and I was talkative all the time. And my mom, she didn't understand it. And so when we were trying to communicate, I was far more advanced than my mom. Bless her heart, she did the best that she could. And so instead of her trying to make it harder on her and me, because here we are in these first stages of development, she would bring in different people, so like the Boys and Girls Club, the YMCA, different young girl leadership programs. She would always allow me to go into different things. She had no idea she was creating a platform for me to be able to speak and give back, though. And so those different development stages with the parents, like I said, if it's someone that has been in the foster program or been adopted into a permanent home, their stages of development is going to be a little bit different. Like I said, they're going to know the warning signs. They're going to know when to give love, when to be quiet, when to just observe, when to know that the child is going through an adolescence change. Even simple things like with the season, knowing when the seasons change. Sometimes kids can get a little gloomier in the winter time, because I don't know, seasons sometimes can really affect a person. Summertime, everybody's chippery and happy. The
Mhm.
fall, people start kind of relaxing or whatnot. But anywho, if it's a parent that has never dealt with adoption or anything, and this is their first time, they're going to have a lot more different stages of development, because where they're coming from is just normality. Everything has just been a normal life for them, and now they're bringing someone is that into their home that has different um platforms. It's different if they bring in, let's say, a newborn versus a
Mhm.
toddler, versus a teenager. Those different stages of development is going to be very, very different depending on what age they are. And that's very vital, because you can help mold and shape and guide a newborn and toddler versus a middle schooler teenager. It's a whole lot different. And then if you have a group home,
Mhm.
you've done this before, but you got 5 or 6 other kids in there, and you bring that child in there, and that child is not used to having a lot of people around them. Just kind of like the movie Annie, that child is going to go through a lot of different things. They're, with the different kids in the house, you don't know if there's any peer pressure in the house, any bullying in the house, the schools in the house, and all of that really goes into hands. So I applaud the parents that have been through this fostering adoption before, and they have those group homes that have all the hands in it, that can really dive in and be protective and loving and give all of that, because we all know that there's many group homes out there that do not have the special attention that they need, and that they continue to acquire children just for a check, you
Mhm.
know and
Wow.
so it's unfortunate, but it is out there, and you see the product of those children. So
Yes.
those are the different development stages that you can have, depending on if the parent has been in the foster system before or not, and then depending on the age of the child with that.
Oh, wow. That is some great information. I'm surprised we don't have some comments or questions on here, but that just makes so much sense as you explain it. But I had no idea of all of that. So that is just good information to know.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I guess we're mostly talking about adoption, but as well, I guess some of it could be fostering
Yes,
as
ma'am.
well. So is there like a process? I've only seen it really through television shows. So uh, if it's not a good fit, how is that handled? With a foster family.
um well, that could go for foster family or for adoption.
Oh, okay.
Because with the like so I was adopted into a permanent home, but I was a baby, so you don't know until that child gets older. And so my fit didn't become an unfit until the day I found out I was adopted. And then all of my issues started because I was too young to process it. And so now it's the child that has adolescence issues, and she's talking too much in class, and but she's getting her work done, and but she just seems like she's not there, and she's troubled. So now what happens? They bring the marker out and they label that child. Now they want to put that child in classes, if that child starts falling backwards. But in my instance, I excelled. I just put my head in my books, and I just kept doing more books. I kept talking, but I kept just, doing more work and more work. But when it comes to a foster home, it just kind of depends, if it's like a child protective service where they're just going to be there for maybe a couple days or a couple weeks, versus if it's something that's going to be for a couple months, or maybe it's like semi-permanent where it's kind of like a home. It
Mhm.
could be not a fit at day one, because those situations, they're trying to pull children. So you're going to have your normal court process that's going to take that child out of a situation and put them into a foster care situation. So you don't really get to go through the cordialness of, do I like this child, like the adoption process.
Mhm.
And I know this can sound kind of not appropriate, but it happens. It's almost like you're going to the store buying a doll. With the adoption process, you get to go into that store and pick out if you want that boy or that girl. I like her hair. I like, it's the pickery, the selection. With
Right.
the foster home process, it's more of you're just being placed. So
Right.
you don't go through that process. They're going to give you information on that child, everything that child has been through, whether it's adolescence, anything health wise. You're getting the whole background of that child, and it doesn't really matter what age. You'll be labeled like what age group you get. So you could be as vague as 0 to 12. You could get anyone in that age. And then if you say it doesn't matter the amount, you'll take kids if they're not broken up. So if someone has 8 kids, and you say you'll take the kids without them being broken up, and they're 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, you're getting all those different ages. And so those kids come into the house, somebody's not going to be a good fit. you know you don't
Right.
know how many hands on deck that situation has. You don't know how many kids are already prior there. You have no idea the mental state and capacity of the person that is a foster parent. You have no idea the state of their home, because they're going to give that foster advocate the show, right? This is my home. It looks nice. I have food. All my lights are on. My water's running. But as soon as those kids come inside and that door's locked, you don't know what happens. There's no cameras, you know and
Right.
those are the kids that you see as they grow up, and now as an adult they come back and they tell their story. Oh, I was in 6 different foster homes. I was beat. I was molested. I wasn't allowed to do X, Y, and Z, because we had to put a show on when the foster advocate would come over. But then once they left, we would go back to our normal way of living with that foster home. you know and it's sad, but that unfortunately, that's what happens. Because there's so many children that need a home.
Yeah.
So you they're just throwing kids into homes. Even God bless the kids coming from different continents when they're crossing the border and stuff like that, and if they get displaced from their parents, they're just throwing those kids in a place.
Wow.
So yeah, it's quite a process.
Mhm. Sounds like it.
Yes,
Hmm.
ma'am.
So, and as you were talking, I guess you kind of like answered some of this, but the parents and as they visualize the children and the children going through adolescence, so like you said, you had an issue, you were going through adolescence, you just found out you were adopted, and your mom was like, wait a minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, tell us how adoptive parents can assist boys during this adoption process and beyond to help them better build their best lives. What are some of the things that they can do?
Um, what I think when it comes with boys is because well, I'm not gonna say all boys. Some boys do like to be in the house. They're more homebodies. But I'm gonna say a 50-50 split. But most of all, just making sure that they have something to do, because if this is a foster home or an adoption situation, either one, when these kids come in, they don't know you, and you don't know them. And so it's not best to just smother them, because they're still finding themselves, especially if they're a little older. The new ones, give them all the love. They don't know the difference. It's going to be a while before they come into the knowing. But the ones that are older, just making sure that they have strong, positive males around them, whether it's at school, outside activities, people that can just pour into them, because they need so much good nuggets drop down into their soul, because no telling what they've been through before, or
Um, okay. I was gonna say she probably popped back up in a second.
okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. But yeah, just making sure that those boys have something to do. Uh Positivity. And it doesn't have to be paid things. There are so many activities out there with Eventbrite and the children's magazine and your own local community. Everything's online now. So finding a good Facebook group, a good, any social media group, networking with the people in your community on, like, I think it's next door. Parents that have adoptive boys. Networking is always going to be the biggest thing. Any seminars, just making sure that you have something for those young men to do. So as they get older, people like Jamie Foxx, um, they were put into so many good things that the light just continues to pour out of them. They didn't even have time to recognize any negativity. It was there, but the foster parent or the adoptive parent, they were able to identify, hey, I don't know everything that's going to go into this young man, but I put so many young men, and older good men that surrounding them, that they were able to just spring up and be their best.
That's good. Very, very good. All right. This has been some great information. I love it. You have to come back and talk about this some more. Give us some more insight because I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people that are going through either the adoption or foster care and they don't know some of this information. So, the more that you know, the better that you can, make better decisions, I think, because a lot of times you don't know what you don't know. So when you get information, so I'm looking forward to having you back. Is there anything that you want to give us as a closing thought that you want to leave us with today?
Yes, ma'am. Well, first off, like I said, thank you again for having me on. And anyone and everyone that's out there, whether you're, raising kids or not, they don't have to be adopted, maybe just going through adolescence. But if they are adopted, they're foster, anything in that process, reach out to me, reach out to us, we work together. But understand there are advocates out here. This is what we're doing. This is why we're on here. Um, you know, but take the step, just send a message, send an email, go to the website. I do write the children's books, so if you want to pick up a book, the voicing you through the mirror, that's the one we're currently working on now. But just making sure that you connect, because we are here and we're ready to help, in any measure that you feel like you want to connect, so that these children know that they have a voice and that someone is here for them.
Okay. Make sure you give them your information, how they can contact you, Ashley.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm on Facebook as well, underneath my name, Ashley Medford. I'm on TikTok as well, just under Love, Love. And Instagram, I'm underneath my name as well. So any one of those platforms, you guys can reach out to me and we'll take it one step at a time.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
And thank you for the comment. Jocelyn says most people have no idea of the dynamics regarding adopting and fostering children. Great information. So,
Thank you.
yes,
Yes.
yes, thank you so much, Jocelyn.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
again, thank you for taking the time, to come on here and provide this information. And then, like I said, you got to come back because it sounds like you have a ton of information that you can provide. And I know it would be, very, very helpful.
Yes,
So I
ma'am.
look forward to it. Please come back Thursday. Join us for Let's Talk About It. This week is going to be Tanya Ferguson, and our topic is Boss Babe. Boss Babe. And I think it's
Okay.
a great topic discussion. So y'all got to come and check it out to find out what it's about. So that is Thursday. What is the day? Thursday the 22nd at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5:30 Central Time. Facebook or YouTube. So please plan on joining us. And you can get more information about Build Your Best Life at www.buildyourbestlife.org. We still have the book Build Your Best Life that will help our young men as well as our mothers. And it's graduation time. A book is a gift that keeps on giving. So think
Yes.
about that. But again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Remember, building your best life is our business. That's not a slogan, it's our commitment. We love you. Be blessed. Stay safe. And again, you know where to find us. And we look forward to seeing you on Thursday. And Ashley, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.